we'd seen it on the news, me and my wife, and one Sunday afternoon, we pulled way out where that gravel runs out up there at the mouth of Duck River.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked around and I said, look here, honey, here comes that boat we saw on the news coming right down Tennessee River. It was going all the way up to Paducah and lock through and go around.
Believe it or
I said,
not,
I can't believe it.
believe it or not, Pebble gets a lot of visitors from Canada. A lot of people that goes down that Time Bigamy waterway and comes back up. They got a lot of activity that goes on there at Pearl, Pebble. A lot.
Because they got a deep water harbor, and it don't matter what size boat you got, you can get gassed up.
Is that what it is?
Deep water.
Deepwater Harbor.
Yeah, he said this Ashford guy told me, he said he had a guy from Columbus, Ohio, that had this yacht
Right.
moored right at his house on the side of the river. Well, there's some little locks in there.
Right.
He would lock through, hit the Ohio River, come down Paducah, get into Tennessee River, and he'd fuel up with Pebble Isle because this boat was so big, but he could get in there and not drag bottom.
Right.
Okay. Then he'd go out, like you're talking about, go down, hit the Tom Bigby, go all the way to the Gulf, hit the Intercontinental Waterway, and go all the way down and tie her up at Key. He had a place rented at Key West.
No kidding.
Tie it up, stay there all winter long.
No kidding.
When it got warm weather, he'd come out, turn around, he'd come all the way back.
I'll be darned.
But his family would fly down. He'd do it by himself.
Sure.
He must have. You know what Ashford told me?
You gotta have a zeal to want to do that,
He said,
because it does get
if
old.
I'm not mistaken, the last time he filled up with diesel at my place was $14,000 for a fill-up. So I said, it took a while. He said, yeah, it took a while to tank. He said, matter of fact, when I got done tanking him, I had to call my truck to come and replenish my diesel. I
Wow.
said, well, what kind of, he said he had 2 big Caterpillar motors in that yacht.
Good God.
Big diesel Caterpillars, double.
Good God.
$14,000, a lot of fuel on it. I bet that made her sit down lower.
What year was that in?
About 2 years ago. See, he just sold this place See, me and my wife went up there, and we didn't see him or her around. And we saw these other people,
Right.
and we finally asked the waitress that waited on. I said, hey, has something changed here? She said, yeah, that's a new owner sitting right in there. He had owned one further down the Tennessee River, the resort.
Now he owns 2 more besides that.
Now he got, I tell you what Ashford told me one time.
He owns 2 more besides that.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Look at here.
I think he owns that in there in Cuba.
Cuba. Ashford told
Cuba Landing.
Cuba Landing. Ashford told me his electric bill at that place for the total deal, 1 month, $9,000. So somebody got to be making some money. They could. He said, all them campers plugged up, all my coolers and stuff in here, cooking equipment, all them lights on them covered boat deals.
Now you know you got to pay for your own electric up there.
Oh yeah, I know why. Cut down at $9,000.
Yeah, you got to pay for your own electric up there. Now the water and the garbage free.
Well, that's something.
Yeah, that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to pay for your own electricity, and you're not allowed because it's still TVA mandated. You're not allowed to actually go up there and live.
Just rent.
Rent. In other words, even in your houseboats, you can't stay year round. Now you can go up there and stay all summer, stay 3 or 4 months, 5 months at a time, but you can't actually go up there and live.
This, I had an aunt and uncle had a place up here at Country Junction. And their house, like their house was like right here, and it had a little yard, and then between there and the Big Sandy River, which is just a bay off Kentucky Lake,
Right.
that from the back of their little bitty lot to the water's edge was TVA. They had to get a permit every year just to mow that grass.
I don't doubt that.
Hey, they did.
I don't doubt
The
that.
guy would come.
TVA is sticking people. I know some people up on the other side of Paris Landing, up in Kentucky, that owns a campsite up there, and they got to pay X amount of dollars every month just for the meter of being hooked up to the base, regardless whether anybody stays there or not. I think it's like $10 a month. Well, if you got 200 campsites and it's in the dead winter, and you got to pay $10 a campsite, and you got 200 campsites, how much is that? That's $2,000 a month that you're having to be out just because you hooked up to TVA.
And anyway,
That ain't right,
they
is it?
they said, yeah, they said, this guy told them. He said, the day I retire, he said, you may lose your permit to mow. And then it'll have to grow up and go back natural. But as long as I'm here and you keep your permit up, I'll let you mow your grass. That way, they can look and see the water. And well, they pull their pontoon up tied off,
Right.
but they wouldn't let them build a dock.
Right.
Now, right next to their property, thank goodness,
Right.
was a federal boat. It was a boat ramp.
Right.
But it's fed. Now I'll tell you what happened up there one time.
I think they own a certain amount of property from the water's edge. What is it, 100 feet or something
That's
like
about
that?
how far it was up to my aunt and uncle's place.
Really?
One time up there,
In other words, you really actually don't actually own the property if you're that close to the river. You're actually just renting it, because if they want to come in there and boot you out, they can boot you out.
this
It's almost like the not the Dominican Republic. Yeah, maybe it is the Dominican Republic. Over in Washington, D.C., did you know that none of those people own that property? They own the building that the property's on, but they don't actually own. They don't actually own Washington, D.C. Where the District of Columbia is all, I don't know what they call it. It's some sort of big word, but you don't never own the property. You own what's on the property, as far as, but the real estate itself, the ground, you don't never own. And I guess that's the way TVA set it up. Whenever Congress gave them permission of doing what they done back in the late 20s and throughout the 30s until they put the brakes on them, TVA really ruined a lot of lives and stole a lot of property.
I will tell you something. I was camped out in Land Between the Lakes with Buddy Monterio one time, and these two old boys come down there in the truck. They said, "Do you know where you camped at?" I said, "Yeah, I'm camped right here." He said, "No." He said, "Well, y'all are camped out. There was a man named Lyon, Lyon, and they said we called him the godfather of the LBL. Where your camper's sitting, there was an 11-room log cabin."
Oh, I've been all up and down through there where I've seen old houses that dilapidated or burnt down to the ground.
It's just a clean place. But anyway, I said, "Well, you look like you know a lot about it." He said, "You darn right. Right up here at the head end of this loop, I was raised right up here." I said, well, what happened? He said, "Well, I'll tell you what happened. Them people up in the Kentucky end of this, where it's really rough," he said, "they was trying to farm it." He said, "they were starving to death." He said, "Down this way," he said, "we was raising enough corn to make liquor, Stewart County, White Lightning.
Right,
And we was clicking along, making a little money."
right.
He said, got started up in Kentucky. They started selling out, and when they started selling out, it's just like a tidal wave. He said, just rolled over us and took us out of here. The TVA got it all.
Well, see, I was told that whenever they flooded all that out up there in the Kentucky area, that it wasn't nothing uncommon for them to lose 7, 8, 10 revenuers a year. People up there that would stumble up on a steel and the next thing you know, the federal guy would just up and disappear. Wouldn't nobody know hide a hair where he went. Well, you know what happened to him? He stumbled up on that daggum steel and they took him out. They took him down Tennessee River and turned him into fish bait. That's what happened to him. And that went on for years and years and years. See, they was struggling big time after they flooded all that property up there. Struggling big time. And then in the early 60s, whenever Kennedy flew over and declared it all as a federal refuge, that's whenever it basically put the nail in the coffin towards ruining what was left of those people's lives up there. And I don't forgot now how many thousands of people that it was in the first buy-off. I'm going to call it buy-off. Basically, it was just a steal-off as far as I'm concerned. Whenever you give it 50 cents an acre and you call it an acre, but in actuality it's 10, you're actually stealing.
This, where the buffalo place and that big foundry-looking thing is on the trace in there.
Yeah.
There used to be a little community. I forget the name of it.
Over by Golden Pond?
Well, this was down there. This wasn't in Kentucky. This was down in Tennessee, and there used to be a little community there, and it had a store. One of the men that camped with us was from Fulton.
He was.
Used to deliver groceries in a truck.
He did.
He said, I sold more sugar in that one building than anywhere else in the whole state of Kentucky.
Ain't that something?
He said, when it got spring of the year, I'd haul that white sugar in there and they'd sell a fire out of it.
That's up there pretty close to,
Right there along where the buffaloes is at.
yeah, Janice Bay, the Ginger Bay area. Also, there's another bay up in there where you can run four-wheelers, ATVs, and stuff like that.
That's Turkey.
Turkey Bay, yeah.
Hey,
Turkey Bay, ain't that on? That's on Kentucky side though, ain't it? Turkey Bay.
yeah, I think so.
I think
it
Turkey
ain't
Bay
nothing
is.
growing there much. Ain't nothing but rock.
I know.
But they killed it all around their backs on it.
I know. But they're strict up there. You know that, right?
At Turkey Bay?
No, at LBL period.
Oh, yeah. Well, I camped up there both.
You
Deer
have.
hunting and turkey hunting.
You know.
I've been checked up there one time.
You know they've almost ruined my life, don't you?
With people up there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In 2007, I started camping up there, and Dad called them up and told all of them that my son is on his way up there. A cop by suicide mission, stop him at all costs. And as soon as I got in front of Wrangler's campground, I had 4 federal agents stop me and kept me on the side of the road for probably 5 or 6 hours going through my stuff, head through toe, and the only thing that they could find was a sword. Well, they had to let me go. So I went back up to Legal Road 142, or Legal Road 141 down by Sugar Bay, which is about halfway between the law enforcement station, which is right there at Golden Pond, and up towards Hillman's Ferry. I've stayed at Hillman's Ferry many a time. But anyways, whenever I went up there in 207 and went to fasting and praying, those people intervened. And I didn't know it, but the ownership had changed in 1999, and it went from a
Wildlife Reserve to federal management.
Right. It basically, TVA let go of controlling that property and turned it into the national forest. And now the rules and regulations was all being mandated by Washington, D.C. pertaining to the National Forest Service. I didn't know that. So I go up there thinking that I could camp in an area for 40 days and 40 nights like I did the first time, right?
Yeah.
No. They caught on to that because there's an old homestead law that's still in the books of Kentucky that if you can prove that you've been somewhere for 40 days and 40 nights, you can go fill out a quick claims deed and declare that property yours. Well, they're very stringent up in that area now towards making sure that you don't stay no longer than the period that you're supposed to stay, which is 21 days. After about the 24th day, they went in and desecrated my campsite and made me move. You're supposed to move at least 1 mile and stay gone for at least 7 days before you can come back to the original site, because you got a lot of people in the summertime that literally live up in LBL. They'll travel in their little campers from place to place. Either that or they'll live primitive in camps. A lot of bikers, a lot of hikers, a lot of everything up there. I think in total they're claiming now they're getting on average about 4 million people visiting a year in Land Between the Lakes. That's a lot of people. That's quite a bit of people. So they're generating a lot of revenue off of that now.
Doggone right.
Well, whenever I was up there in 2007, they moved me out of that area. So I actually